Hi, I'm Brett from Metropole, and we are living in uncertain times, especially when you consider the last decade from an economic perspective. It was an extended period of low inflation and relatively low interest rates with no changes in sight. An entirely new generation has never experienced anything different. Then, a fall in interest rates and inflation due to COVID may have lulled the average person into a false sense of security. While record low interest rates and inflation were never going to fall further, the rate at which they have climbed have really surpassed expectations. There's a huge level of uncertainty and discomfort as the cost of living skyrockets and we begin to get progressively more uncomfortable. It's also flowing through to our property market, with demand falling and prices declining, with stock levels also falling as sellers sit on their hands. So where to from here? Well, look, I believe we're at a crucial juncture, and for me there are three things that need to change for certainty return, I guess, to our economic market and also our property market. The first is going to be inflation. It's been a real rocky road, and the big mistake the Reserve Bank keep considering is spending, and spending's only one tool. There's also the supply side of the equation. And in that sense, we've had huge supply chain issues with fuel, oil, food, also construction and building materials. And that starts to looking to resolve and ease itself, and particularly around the globe, those inflation highs are starting to come down, and I suspect we'll start to see that as well. The next thing is interest rates. The ramp up has been quite extraordinary, but now we have to start to transition to more of a wait and see approach. We don't want to overshoot the runway with inflation starting to drop away, so the RBA are going to have to, at some stage, in my opinion, take a bit of a wait and see approach. There's talk of more interest rate rises, but again, there needs to be some perspective there as well. So they're the two big things that I think will bring more certainty this year. I think the icing on the cake could potentially be the APRA buffer, the prudential buffer, where if you're going for a loan today and the interest rate advertised is 5%, the banks are going to have to assess you at 8%. There's automatically a 3% buffer there. Now that was used during emergency times, and that will have to come back somewhat. We're experiencing low investor demand. We're having a huge problem with rental crisis at the moment, and the government and everyone else is not doing enough to solve that issue, and it's going to be the investors that are going to help out in that department. So by bringing that buffer back a little bit, there's more encouragement for investors, more borrowing capacity may potentially come up as well. But I don't expect that to play out until later this year, until we get interest rates and inflation under control. So there you go, my three big things. Inflation to start with, let's get some certainty around interest rates, and then finally, let's get back to some normality around that buffer. If all that plays out, I think we'll have a really strong end to the year. The market's not going to go crazy, but it will return to a normal property market. Thanks for your time.